develop, Chris? What was your first one? The Cartology?
Cartology, yeah, that's right. Well, this is the current range. This is the 2015 release. The 2016 release is behind it. It's exactly the same. So we've managed to release a few, two single vineyard Chenins, Radio Lazarus, which you did see last time you were here, and Magnetic North, which is from some ungrafted vineyards up in Skurfberg. And we now also bottle the La Colline Semillon vineyard, a small portion of it we bottle separately. And then we've got Himmelrand Vine Garden, which is our baby vineyard on this farm. It's 5 years old and it's trellised, and it was sort of semi-inspired by some of the wines that were coming out of Languedoc at the time that I was excited about when we planted it. So it's basically a field blend. Whatever grows in the vineyard goes into the bottle. It's Chardonnay and Chenin and Verdelho and Roussanne, and there are like a few, I think 100 Viognier vines, and there's about 300 Muscat vines. But you'll see on the 16 that Muscat, even at 2% of the wine, makes quite an impression. Anyway, so that's our current range, and as I was telling you earlier, I've got some plans for the wines we've just made to expand on the idea of telling the story of the Cape through Chenin. So hopefully we'll have a few more single origin Chenins this time next year, if you come and visit.
Tell me about Chenin Blanc on different soils. What do you notice?
In the Cape? Well, over the years we've had opportunities to work with all the major kind of soil types in the Cape. Granite, we've got the red sand up in Skurfberg. We've worked with schist soil Chenins. We don't have anything of that right now, but we've worked with it for a few inches. And the hilltop shales, Durbanville and Bottleray. And then the red soils close to Malmesbury. So we've got all 5 of those. And the differences are quite subtle, but I think they're very real. And I don't know why. Jamie's a plant biologist, maybe you can tell us why. With different mineral waters, obviously the tiniest little bits of magnesium and calcium and whatever can make quite a big difference to the way the water tastes. And maybe that's what it is. Maybe it's the water in the juice or in the wine that's a canvas, or that makes those small differences happen. I don't know how selectively the plants take up the ions in the soil. But I personally find on the granite soils like the Paderberg and the south of Stellenbosch, the wines are very bright, almost like crystal clear. With it's like a pure white canvas for the place and for the weather and for all of that. That's what I see. Where the shale hilltops, like Radio Lazarus and like Sonop and those places, I find the wines much more not chalky like limestone, but sort of dusty. Like something that hasn't been dusted in a long time. Like something very like a stofpad, like a gravel road, almost dusty. The red sand up in Skurfberg, I find those wines salty but not saline's probably a bit of a push, but almost brackish. I know that doesn't sound good, but it is good, sort of brackish. What else is there? The shale soils or the schist soils that we used to get from around Riebeek were certainly salty. Those wines were absolutely saline. They were salty wines. What have I left out? The red soils close to Malmesbury. They're also, at this point, they seem kind of salty but not brackish. I don't know. It's difficult to articulate these things. Sometimes maybe it's I don't know. Maybe it's just me, but that's what I see.
In a way.
It's pretty much done. Yeah, everything's almost dry. We just keep the room warm now for.
Yeah. How's this vintage been for you?
Very good. Yeah. Very intense, but very good. Yeah. It was like felt like you were at war at some point. Like there was a lot of sacrifice for personal comfort and sleep, but it was a very, very good.
You're happy, yeah?
I think it's comparable to 2015, but maybe not as intense, or at least as big. I think the wines will be a bit finer.
Where are you sourcing from now? Which different areas?
Same as the last time you saw me. We've taken on a few new blocks, and this vintage I'm trying a few new things that I haven't done before. I've got some plans up my sleeve for the 2017 vintage. I've got an idea that I wanted to do for a few years now, but this was the first time that I've been able to do it.
It's very secret.
I don't want to give away too much. No, yeah. I want to get more into exploring or telling the story of the different parts of the Cape through Chenin. because with the whole cartology project, I've seen so many vineyards now that some of them have made the grade, some of them haven't. But I also, because we've been sourcing like this, I've had the opportunity to taste lots of different parcels over the years, and there are patterns emerging, you know, of which parts of the world actually have distinct Chenins.
Yeah.
Like the south of Stellenbosch is quite distinct actually, and the Bordeaux is very distinct, you know, and there are lots of, we've always had radio landers, but there are other great Bordeaux sites. I'd like to make a Bordeaux wine, I'd like to make a wine from the south of Stellenbosch. There's, you know, the different farms on the Scope Path have got different personalities. There's the Paderbath, you know, we finally got all the sites we need and enough from the right sites to make a Paderbath wine. Always wanted to do that, never had the chance. You know, because Paderbath is such a distinct type of Chenin. You know,
And
very bright,
is there lots of competition for the best vineyards now?
Yeah, sure there is. Yeah. It's okay though. The relationships that we've established over the years are good.
Yeah.
And we were relatively early on, you know, in the process. We weren't very early, but we were early enough in the whole development of what's happening with the older Cape vineyards to stake our claim to some of the best sites, I think. Yeah. So we've done okay with that.
We'll see if they're good. I believe that they're going to be good.
What's the advantage of concrete?
Thermal mass.
Yeah.
Thermal mass, basically. That's the biggest thing. So we go in there with cool grapes. We're using them for Cinsault and Grenache mostly, so all of that's whole cluster ferment. So we'll cool our grapes down, normally to 11 degrees. I like to imitate a cold night. I never cool them colder than that because there's nowhere in the Cape where you get a night colder than 10 degrees in summer. You know, and I think if you cool them down, like some wineries cool them down to 5 or 6 degrees, then you're going to give your natural flora a real shock.
Yeah.
You know, we're dependent on all that natural microflora. So then with the little conveyor, this thing over here, we sort on the conveyor, and the whole clusters go straight in, and we stomp on them. And then it takes literally 4 days for them to even start prickling, to start fermenting. Just because they stay cold for ages in that cement, and those things weigh 4 tons each. So there's a lot of cement to warm up. And then once they're going, they just have a lovely smooth fermentation curve. And they stay warm for ages because they've warmed up all of that cement, so the ferments go dry nicely. And also for storage, these are designed for fermentation and for storage. I think they're superb for storing these kind of wines. Like Cinsault can get pretty tired in barrel, you know, Cinsault and Grenache and those grapes tend to oxidize unless you've got really, really old vats like Rios, who's got 50-year-old vats, which are basically pretty reductive. These are great because they keep the wines crunchy and nervous. You know, they're basically anoxic kind of maturation. So the Bayer reaction will still happen, but the wines won't tire, hopefully. So Cinsault and Grenache get matured in these.